Item number one is, this request is for the first reading of an ordinance for updating all of the building and construction codes in the place in Mesa County, 8 codes in all. The county building codes currently adopted are the 2018 edition. The proposed ordinance will provide for adoptions of the current editions, which is necessary to keep up with the modern construction methods, materials, techniques, and state requirements. Good morning.
Good morning. Todd Starr, Mesa County Attorney. The ordinance before the board is identified as Ordinance 008D, an ordinance of the County of Mesa, Colorado, adopting and amending the International Business Code, the Colorado Plumbing and Fuel Gas Code, the International Mechanical Code, the International Existing Building Code, the International Residential Code, the National Electric Code, the International Energy Conservation Code, and the Colorado Model Electric Ready and Solar Ready Code to be applied throughout the County of Mesa, State of Colorado, except within the limits of any incorporated city or town. This agenda item is to give formal posting of the text of the ordinance. Only the reading by way of publication and the comment presenter Darrell Bay, who will be following me, are included in the record. No action is required of the board. The ordinance will be published in the newspaper. A second meeting will occur where the text of the ordinance will again be presented and considered. The board at the second meeting will decide whether to adopt the ordinance. After the presentation of that item from Mr. Bay, the board can discuss it with Mr. Bay. However, if the board is considering edits to the ordinance, it is recommended to reserve those changes until the second reading, where the ordinance will actually be considered and voted upon for adoption. Of course, the board is free to make any changes prior to adoption of the ordinance at the second meeting. Again, this is, you're sitting in a legislative capacity, so there are no due process restrictions on who you talk to.
Okay.
Mr. Bay.
Thank you, Mr. Starr. Mr. Bay.
Good morning. I'm Darrell Bay, building official with Mesa County Building Department. The item brought before the board this morning is the first reading of the proposed Mesa County Ordinance 008D. The proposed ordinance is a replacement of the existing Ordinance 008C. This ordinance serves as the building code for Mesa County, and it is adopted pursuant to the board's authority under Colorado Revised Statute 30-28-201 to adopt a building code for the county. The proposed ordinance 008D is entitled An Ordinance for the County of Mesa, Colorado, adopting and amending the International Building Code, the International Plumbing Code, the International Mechanical Code, the International Fuel Gas Code, the International Existing Building Code, the International Residential Code, the National Electrical Code, the Model Electric Ready Code, the Solar Ready Code, and the International Energy Conservation Code to be applied throughout the County of Mesa, State of Colorado, except for within the city limits of any incorporated city or town. The full text of the proposed ordinance 008D has been posted as part of the agenda item for today's meeting and is part of the record for today's meeting. This record serves as the first reading required in the ordinance adoption process. The national and state codes are incorporated into today's first reading by reference and are part of the ordinance 008D. Copies are available for review by the general public at the office of the Mesa County Building Department. The ordinance also included an Exhibit A, which is a fee structure to be used by the building department when applying the ordinance. An Exhibit A is also included as part of the record for today's meeting and this first reading. At this time, there is no further requirements for the first reading of the Mesa County Ordinance 008D. The ordinance will be returned to the board in the future for final reading and amendments for the adoption process. I can now answer any questions related to this item.
You guys, any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Darrell, can you give us a kind of a justification why we're jumping from the 2018 to the 2024?
Yes, so there's always such an amount of changes that happens in technologies, materials, methods that people need to use. If you don't try to stay up with the the current technology and stuff, you get so far behind. We adopt every other code cycle because it's costly. And in a 6-year process, it gives the contractors a little bit of time to get used to using one set of codes. Adopting every cycle, we're required to do that by state law for the plumbing codes and the electrical codes, and they're constantly changing that. A 6-year cycle works very well for the building codes. But we do a disservice not trying to stay up with the other codes. It just seems like there's constant change in our ever-changing world right now. We get pretty far behind even in a 6-year cycle.
Yeah, so we've been on a 6-year cycle for the building code side of it.
Yes.
We're currently on the 2018 energy code, which used to be the 2009. So we waited 9 years to update the energy code. Why are we updating just to the 2021 energy code?
The energy code is moving very fast. And it's getting extremely restrictive. After a long, hard process of weighing the odds of what we're up against, we felt that this was probably the best thing for Mesa County and for the people here. It's gotten to the point now that I think we've almost tipped the scales and we've gotten a little too restrictive. I think that this is the best balance to try to stay within affordability and still meet the energy requirements of what people need for their homes and still stay within the state laws that's being passed right now.
Okay. Any other comments?
Yes.
Go
Mr. Starr, could you explain to the public what this public process looks like and their input on this ordinance?
Of course, Madam. Todd Starr, Mesa County Attorney. This is the first reading. The public is invited and welcome to contact either the commissioners or administration with any comments they may have. The ordinance in its entirety is published in the newspaper. It will then be brought on for a second reading. And I'm sorry, as I stand here, I don't know when that is scheduled for, probably in 2 meetings. And at that meeting, the board will actually take a vote and again receive public or have an opportunity for public input at that hearing. And then if the board adopts the ordinance or makes any changes to it, those changes will be published before the ordinance becomes effective.
Thank you. We do invite the public to make comments on this. Go ahead.
Yeah, I had one comment. When we bring forth the implementation and the rollout, any permits that are in the system, will there be like a 90-day transitional period, or what will we do for projects that are in current permitting?
So as it stands right now, it'll be September 1st is what we're proposing for the time frame. Any permit that is applied for after or on or after September 1st will go into the new permitting system. Anything that's been applied prior to September 1st will stay on the old permits or on the old codes.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any public comment on this item? Okay, bring it back to the board for any final comments. I did just want to say, Mr. Bay just didn't bring this to us today out of the blue. He's been working with the community on the best balance for all of this. There also are certain implications statewide. They're adopting new energy codes, low carbon management codes, things like that, that will be forced to adopt in the future. So this is kind of to get ahead of that, adopt a relatively new, up-to-date energy code without having to adopt one that's on steroids. That would cost this community a lot of money. So we're trying to find the absolute balance between energy efficiency and affordability. And Darrell, I think you've done a good job. You've engaged with the community. I think for the most part, they're on board. Obviously, we're going to have people that are frustrated that don't know about these code updates, but we're going to do our best to get that information into the community. So Mr. Starrs, for a first reading, do we have to do anything official as foregoing the first reading?
No, sir, no further action. You can move on to the next item.
All right, well, seeing no further public comments, I will entertain a motion to approve the item as entered into the record.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 3-0.